Hey, how's it everybody? Okay, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the comparison between SureCart and WooCommerce today. Now, I know that SureCart is not a WooCommerce replacement. That's not the way they've positioned themselves in the marketplace. But because WooCommerce is an animal that we all know really well and we're really familiar with, it makes sense to draw a comparison between the two of them, and I hope that'll help you understand who SureCart is for and who WooCommerce is for. So let's answer that question in this video today. Who is SureCart for? Okay, so let's run through some of the features and comparisons. So the number one difference between WooCommerce and SureCart is that SureCart is what we call headless. Now this is a kind of a techie term, so bear with me. Let me explain in layman's terms what headless means and why you might be more inclined to go with a headless solution rather than something like WooCommerce, which is completely hosted on your website. Okay, so what we mean by headless. Yes, this is a plugin. SureCart is a plugin. You do install it on your website, and there is an element of it that lives on your website. But all the heavy lifting parts, as in the checkout pages, the products, the actual checkout process, etc., those are actually happening on SureCart servers and not on your server. Why would you want to have this happen, you may ask? Well, it means that you don't need to get the best, hottest hosting out there for your website just because you have WooCommerce installed. Now, WooCommerce is amazing. I mean, for 10 years, I've used WooCommerce and promoted WooCommerce, and there is still a place for WooCommerce. But we all know that as soon as you install WooCommerce on your website, you need to move to more, better, hosting. You can't put a WooCommerce site on, your average shared hosting and have it perform amazingly well. Fact. And so by having a headless solution like SureCart, it means you can just host your website on a regular, normal hosting provider. Yes, I still recommend virtual private servers or, your self-hosted websites, but it means you don't have to go really crazy over your hosting because effectively your checkout and your selling process is on SureCart servers and not on your servers. So that's the one part of the explanation of headless. The other major benefit to something being headless and actually living on enterprise level servers, let's call it, is that you don't have to worry about backing up your WooCommerce database like, by the minute, right? So if you have a daily backup and you've got an online store where you're doing 20, 30 or more transactions a day, that's a bit of a problem if you want to roll back to yesterday's backup, because you're going to lose those transactions that happened between when you backed up and when you wanted to restore. And so generally speaking, with an active e-commerce store, we need to have really great backups, solutions that are backing up at a much more frequent time frame, so that we could restore a backup from 15 minutes ago, let's say. Or you need to put in place some kind of other solution where you can, back up those transactions and restore something. And basically, you need a developer to sort this out for you, okay? And if you just want to sell your course or have a template shop or get payments for a service or whatever the case is, you don't want to be thinking about that kind of level of backing up on your website, etc. Yes, you can go and pay for a plan to do this with a developer or whatever the case is. But if you're starting out or you have a simple store with a few products but lots of transactions, you don't really want to think about that. You want to be able to restore a backup of your website from 2 days ago when you made a change to something and not have that affect your actual sales transactions. So that's a big plus for a headless solution over a self-hosted solution. So I hope that kind of explains headless a little bit to you. Basically, it means that all the heavy lifting is done on, these amazing enterprise level servers, and you don't have to worry about things like backing up your transactions and sales and, up-speccing your hosting server to something really swanky to run a simple e-commerce site. Okay, so that's the one major difference, and that is something that we need to understand and explain upfront, because that is quite a different mindset. It's really doing e-commerce on WordPress in a completely different way. Okay, it's a new way of selling on WordPress, basically. So let's talk about some basics now. So can you create a product on both of them that you can sell? Yes. On both WooCommerce and on SureCart, you can create a product. Check in both of those. Can you create a shop page or a store page where you list all of your products out? Maybe you've got filtering, your more traditional online store layout, as it were. Yes for WooCommerce, no at this stage for SureCart. Again, SureCart are not sort of positioning themselves as a WooCommerce replacement at this stage. And so they haven't positioned themselves for like a traditional, thousands of products store. So if that's what you have, if that's the kind of business you have, if you're selling shoes or t-shirts or whatever, cups, sauces, bedding, whatever you're selling online, if it's en masse and you want a storefront with products, then I would probably recommend at this stage that you stay with WooCommerce. Now, SureCart are planning to bring more traditional shop functionality to SureCart, but at the moment, while it's in beta, the better bet is still WooCommerce. This could be different in a couple of weeks, but for now, WooCommerce is the better option. Do you have a checkout page? Yes, for both WooCommerce and SureCart, both have checkout pages. Can you customize your checkout per product? WooCommerce? No. Not without some sort of extra plugin, some code, whatever the case. Out the box, most definitely not. SureCart? Yes. This is kind of the main thing of SureCart, right? Being able to create these custom checkout forms per product. So this is huge because you may sell different sorts of services or different sorts of products on your website, and they may have different fields and different information that you want. You may be selling an online book and you want to, get the person's address in the checkout. Or you may be selling courses and you just want their name and email. This gives you the flexibility. SureCart gives you the flexibility to really create whatever checkout forms you want with whatever custom fields you want. You can absolutely design whatever checkout you want. That is a big, big tick for SureCart, and for WooCommerce, sadly, it's a very big red cross. Can you put that checkout anywhere on your website, in any page, in any layout that you've built? WooCommerce, no. Again, not without some fancy extra plugins or some developer writing you some custom code. There's no option in WooCommerce to go and pop a checkout onto a random page in your page builder, for example. On SureCart, big, big, big tick. Yes, you can, with a short code, put a checkout form anywhere on your website, in any page, in any post. So have your little sales page, have the person check out right there on the sales page. No more clicking a button to add to cart, then going to checkout page, then going, none of that. Just checkout on the page. So super simple, really built for conversion, which at the end of the day is what we all want. We want people to just buy easier. So it's a really frictionless process. So this is a big tick for SureCart. What about recurring subscriptions? Is that in the free version of WooCommerce and SureCart? For WooCommerce, no, that's a big red cross. You need to add a paid plugin, something like WooCommerce subscriptions, which is about $199 a year, in order to do recurring subscription payments. With SureCart, yes, ding, 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 it's in the free version of SureCart, and they say it's always going to be in the free version. So that is a massive tick. That is a very big feather in SureCart's hat, because subscription-based models and memberships is something that a lot of online businesses have. And so this makes taking those recurring subscription payments frictionless and free. So what about digital downloads? Do both WooCommerce and SureCart do those in the free version? Tick and tick. Yes, both WooCommerce and SureCart do digital downloads in the free versions of the plugin. The one benefit of SureCart over WooCommerce is that those free downloads are also handled in the headless part of the plugin. So those documents, downloads, etc. are all on SureCart servers and are handled by their protection, etc. What about a traditional add to cart function? Do they both have this in the free version? WooCommerce, yes, that's the way WooCommerce is built. So add to cart, check, and then you go to a cart page and then you check out. That's the traditional e-commerce route we're all familiar with. On SureCart's side, this works a little bit differently. So you can have what's called a buy link. So that is kind of the add to cart functionality, but there is no cart, as it were, in SureCart. It's really more intended for just checkout forms and checking out and paying. Now, having said that, SureCart have said that they are working on a sort of an off-canvas checkout or off-canvas cart functionality, so very Shopify-esque. So you would then be able to add to cart, and SureCart would then work for a more traditional store. They say it's coming very soon. We haven't seen it in the beta yet. So it's kind of the start of a tick on SureCart's side, but not really. So speaking about that off-canvas cart, is that something that's baked into the free version of the plugins? Yes, that would be on the free version of the plugin in SureCart. No, with WooCommerce, you need to add extra plugins or have custom functions in your themes or something like that to make an off-canvas cart work with WooCommerce. What about inventory management? So in other words, managing your stock on the system. So can you say I have 10 of these items and 5 of these and have only that number be sold? On WooCommerce, yes, that is built into the free version of WooCommerce. On the SureCart side, no, at this stage, inventory management is not in SureCart. So again, if you're selling physical products where you have a finite amount, WooCommerce is still going to be the better choice for you. What about shipping? So shipping, very basic rudimentary shipping options are included in the free WooCommerce version. 9 out of 10 times though, you do need to add additional plugins, sometimes with a cost, sometimes without, in order to get shipping working perhaps in your location with WooCommerce. So it's kind of a tick depending on where you are, okay? With SureCart, no, at this stage there's no shipping calculation because again, SureCart is not really at this stage, geared towards physical products. What about things like coupons or vouchers and coupon management? Yes, that is a big tick in both of WooCommerce and SureCart have the ability to create coupons and discounts with no problem. Now, I'm sure there's 150 things you're wondering about when it comes to your WooCommerce and whether SureCart is a good move for you or a good fit for you. Please go ahead, pop those questions in the comments, and I'll try and get you answers in the comments, or maybe even film something if it's a question that a lot of users have. Will you be able to easily transition your WooCommerce store to SureCart? Yes, I think that's coming. Watch this space. There might be some kind of migration service or plugin that's coming down the line. But definitely, I think with the direction that SureCart is going in, they're going to make it as easy as possible for you to migrate your WooCommerce store over to a SureCart store. So that's pretty exciting. For me, that's really exciting. I have, a few different websites, a few different businesses that I run. And for some of them, I have a lot of subscriptions, for example, on WooCommerce subscriptions. So for me, transitioning that store over to SureCart, I'm going to need a good migration plugin or system or service that's going to be able to make that happen seamlessly for me and my clients without interrupting their existing subscriptions with me. So that's going to be an interesting one to see if we can transition over down the line. I think it will come, but for now, if you're setting up a new store, or if you sell one-off purchase products, for sure you're going to be able to transition your store over to SureCart pretty much straight away. Maybe you've been thinking about starting a subscription-based model to your business and you haven't started yet. Lucky you, go straight to SureCart. Save yourself the time and hassle and bloat of WooCommerce and just go straight to SureCart. So I hope that's helped. Although, again, SureCart is not touting itself as the replacement or the competition to WooCommerce, but I think because WooCommerce is the animal we all know and love, hate, it's easier for you to understand what SureCart is if we can compare it with WooCommerce. Now, another question I've had on the recent video was, how do you get SureCart? People were not understanding how to get it because they were going to SureCart's website and there's a coming soon page there. So within the next couple of weeks, you'll actually be able to find SureCart in the WordPress repository. And certainly if you're watching this video after the date that it's been filmed, that may already be the case. I will pop a link below in this video where you can go and register on the Google form for the early adopters list. You will be sent an email which will invite you to a Facebook group, and once you're in that Facebook group, there is a pinned post right at the top of the group where you can download the beta version of the plugin and go ahead and install it. It is production ready. But as with all new plugins, it takes a few weeks to get into the WordPress repository, which is why you're not going to find it when you go to plugins, add new, and if you search for SureCart, you're not going to find it there yet. So you need to download it and install it. So go and hop on the early adopters Google form list. You'll get an email invite to the Facebook group and you'll be able to download and install the plugin. That Facebook group is also very active with people asking questions. So if you have any questions, you can go and search in that group, and generally someone has asked that question before. You'll find me in that Facebook group as well. So just, don't hesitate to holler and ask any questions there or on the comments below. And as usual, please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Okay, thanks guys for watching, and keep watching the channel for more updates of what's coming with SureCart. I have it on good authority that there's some pretty exciting things coming down the line, and I'll keep you informed as I find out more and hear more.